Boom! Hum, thundercloud! Mum calls me James, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. It's Chillin Tuesday. Let's have some word games. What have I got in store for you tonight? Ooh, for your delight. I have this here, Australian poets, 1788 to 1888. It was actually the first book that I bought for the Australian Poetry Library, an archive over here. Published in 1888, the first 100 years of Australian poets. Exactly that. And because it's pre-Federation, 1888, which was 1901, there's also a lot of New Zealand poets in because they were sort of interchangeable. People travelled back and forward back then, and they it was sort of an area of Great Britain, I suppose. The colonies. Well, what do I have for you? Well, here, I've also got these wonderful mugs here. You can get them on the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame website, .com.au, of course, or meanwhile in Australia.com, we also sell them there in our Etsy store. Well, let's begin on this 26th of March by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we all walk here in this country called Australia now. And here, where I broadcast from the Camilla and the band by people and acknowledge their continuing connection to the land, let's also acknowledge the sacrifices by our service people in the wars to create the way of life that we can celebrate as one of the wealthiest countries in the world and safest countries. Well, we are very lucky. No one starves here, that's for sure. All right, what have I got? Well, 4 years ago and 2 days, I walked in the front door of this place and opened the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. And in 4 years and 2 days, I have done quite a fair bit of work. And I might even take you for a tour later on, if I remember. I should write that down. Tour. There you go, it's written down, I won't forget it now. And the day that I walked in, I'd stopped up there in Glen Innes at Badger's bookshop, and I'd bought this book. Yes, and it struck me because it said Australian Poets 1788 to 1888. And I thought, well, that's a really old one. It was $55 at the time. Since then, I've acquired a second copy, so I'm very fortunate and to have both of them. But then something really fantastic happened today. I'm here and the postman walks in with a package, which I had sort of forgotten. I was kind of expected, but I'd forgotten. Just last week, I contacted one of our greatest and funniest poets, bush poets, Bob Magor. And I had Bob Magor's blood on the board here in the Australian Poetry Library and Archive. And what did Bob do? He sent me nearly his complete set of books here. Now, Bob's getting on. He's not going out and performing anymore because he's had a very long and successful career as a poet and many other things. Bush poet, author, impoverished farmer, raconteur and tamperer of the truth. He's from Maiponga in South Australia. And I've got 8 of his books here that he's sent to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame to add to this other 9th one, and now the Australian Poetry Library and Archive has a complete selection of Bob Magor books, so aren't we lucky? Now, I'm going to start with one of our Indigenous poets, First Nations poet, Kath Walker. She was born Kathleen Mary Rusker in 1933, and she married Mr. Walker of the Bunjalung mob there, and they later on she changed her name to Oodgeroo Nunucal because she was of the Nunucal tribe on the Minjerribah, being Stradbroke Island there. And Oodgeroo meaning the paperbark, and there's lots of Melaleuca trees and Melaleuca swamp and all of that through Minjerribah. And this one here that I'm going to read to you is one of the first poems that I ever really read myself, really read and analysed. And you say, back in 2014, it's a bit of a story how I got to here, to be a poet even. In 2014, I'd been teaching English as a second language for, oh goodness gracious me, about 11 more, 12, 13 years. And I came home on a Thursday afternoon in November and the roof blew off. I thought, well, that's a good chance for an opportunity. So I sold everything and bought a double-decker bus, and thanks to my parents and much help, I paid it off over the year. So big thanks to everybody who helped me in that. And then I went around collecting books and giving them away in rural areas. And I did that for a while, and then the bus broke down in Nimbin. While I was travelling on that bus, I did end up in Stradbroke Island, but in the very beginning, when the bus was being painted in Adelaide, I was parked in front of this wall here. And that is a picture of a wall painted by Elizabeth Close, a young lady who lives in Adelaide now, but she's a Pitjantjatjara and Yunkatjatjara woman and a contemporary Aboriginal First Nations artist. And she titled that wall, which was like 19 metres by 5 metres, Municipal Garment. She put this poem up there. Anyway, I did send that poem to my son. And long story short, this is it. Municipal gum. Gum tree in the city street. Hard bitumen around your feet. Rather, you should be in the cool world of leafy forest halls and wild bird calls. Here, you seem to me like that poor cart horse, castrated, broken, a thing wronged, strapped and buckled, its hell prolonged, whose hung head and listless mien express its hopelessness. Municipal gum, it is dolorous to see you thus set in your black grass of bitumen. Oh, fellow citizen, what have they done to us? Oodgeroo Nunucal's Municipal Gum. Very powerful poem written just after the 1967 referendum to bring First Nations people into the Australian Constitution there. Make them citizens. Well, if you would like to donate to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, before I go on, there are many ways which you can donate to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Well, cash, of course, when you come here to visit and see this wonderful display, you can drop some cash into the donation tins. PayPal, which is the link in the description, wherever that would be on your computer. And then there's also a big range of cryptocurrencies, everything including 20 or more, 28, 30 cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Satoshis, 1,000 sats, XRP Ripple, XPR Proton, XLM Stellar, HBAR, XDC, Shiba Inu, Bonk, Cockinu. Yes, that's right, you heard it right. COQINU. Flare, Solo, Randomatic, BitTorrent, BitGert, IOTA, XVG, Songbird, Gala, Clayton, Algorand, Australian Carbon Token. Yes, you can donate Australian carbon tokens and we can offset our carbon, whatever's that we make here. Apecoin, XYO, VeChain, Thor, and VeChain, of course. Yeah, and any others, just contact me and you can send it to my BNB wallet address, which I can give you, and it will be also in the link below. Certainly any of those are very welcome. And of course cash, because cash is king, but crypto is also another kind of king. Think about that. It's a crown, right? Okay, the crown overwrites, underwrites cash, yeah, with the crown, yeah, something like that. Well, Bitcoin has no sovereign, but it's like digital gold. The future. All right, let's get on with some poetry on this Chillin Tuesday on the 26th of March 2024. Australian poets, 1788 to 1888. It's a selection of poems on all subjects written in Australia and New Zealand during the first century of British colonisation, with brief notes on their authors and an introduction by Patchett Martin. It was edited by Douglas B.W. Sladen, published in London by Griffith, Farron, Oakden and Welsh, West Corner, and also in Sydney as well. So there you go. All right, well, let's begin at the beginning. We'll go right into the very first poem that we can find in here. We won't read any of the notes or any of that kind of stuff. Oh, well, Francis W. Adams, a well-known journalist and author of poems. Elliot Stock Lester on an autobiography, Australian essays and poetical works. When Mr. Adams wrote from Queensland, he was engaged upon a volume of Australian tales, a novel, and work on modern English poets. Well, this is the first one we've got here. It doesn't have a date, so we just assume it's somewhere between 1788 and 1888. Love's light and tune. I will not light the candle yet and draw the blinds, but lean my flushed face and the brow that aches out into the cool air where those tired eyes look. Below is heard the murmuring brook. And in the early twilight, trees and brakes, all the small birds are set, crooning and piping tunes to suit their minds. Look into the sweet, soft mingling of the sky and the sea. Where is no tune to change unceasingly? It is so long since any tune hath come to me. Nay, close the window up and draw the blinds that cry, and light the candle, and with a smiling face tell thyself of this tune God gives, this tune that shineth in the soul, palely as yonder moon shineth there by hills with unfelt pace, till the darkness deepens and more her glory fills the courts of the sky, and all the sea and the earth, and is enough to gladden any heart with joy thereof. O God, I thank thee for this tune that tells of love. A Song of Life by Mrs. W.J. Anderson, Emma Frances Baker, born in 1842, died in 1868, the youngest daughter of Reverend C.K. Baker of Hillside, Morphett Vale, South Australia, brought to the colony a year after her birth. Many of the poems appeared in Australian periodicals under the name of Frances. In 1864, she married Mr. Anderson of the Mauritian Civil Service and left the colony with sad forebodings. All right, this is The Song of a Life by Mrs. W.J. Anderson. I dreamt of a song, a sad, sad song, It stole through my sleep with tones so deep that the echoes loved it and kept it long, repeating again the low soft strain, till I woke and remembered its gentle pain, and all day long it haunts my brain, this song. The moon is above the hill, mother, a ravet's gentle knot light has silently come like a blessing to comfort the earth this night. But my heart seems like a valley where the moonbeams never play, all sad with gay world round it, all dark in the midst of day. Yes, the earth may be full of gladness, but what is its joy to me? The brighter the sun sets out, mother, the darker the shades will be. And I am walking now in the shadows by the very brightness cast. I've been looking far in the future to see where the joy will last. And I find it is ever fading as the weary years go by. I fear I shall live to feel, mother, life but a long-drawn sigh. When the arms that clasp me now, mother, and the hearts I call my own, leave me, poor me, in the world, mother, in the wide, wide world alone. When my heart, like a field in summer, is burnt with the world's hot breath, and the flowers that bloomed in the springtime have drooped neath its touch of death. Oh, they must all come to me, mother, the sorrows that others know. Let me die before they come, mother. I'm wearying now to go. Wow, that's quite a beautiful poem, really. Austral, a nom de plume of Mrs. J.G. Wilson of Wellington, New Zealand, and Nee Adams of St. Innes, Victoria, a constant contributor to the Australasian. This one's called The 40-Mile Bush. Far in the forests. This one's called The 40-Mile Bush by Austral. Far in the forest's aromatic shade, we rode one afternoon of golden ease. The long road ran through sunshine and through shade, lulled by the somnolent stories of the trees. Sometimes a bellbird fluted far away, sometimes the murmur of the leafy deep, rising and falling all the autumnal day, rolled on the hills and sunk again to sleep. Mile after mile the same, the sky grew red, and through the trees we saw a snowy gleam, a phantom peak and spectral mountain head, and gulfs that nursed the glacier and the stream. Before us lay the pine woods' sombre miles, thick laid with moss like furs upon the floor. Behind the woodland's green monotonous aisles, closed in the west by sunset's amber door. This is the Snow King's threshold and dominion, the frozen ranges white without a stain, like icy wings outspread and flying pinion, ready to soar above the cloudy plain. Deep in the glen, the hollow waters racing, sent forth their turbulent voices to the night. The stars above began their solemn pacing, and homely shone the distant village light. Mysterious forest in this humming city, I seem to hear thy music-breathing tree. Thy branches wave and beckon me in pity, to seek again thy hospitality. The 40-Mile Bush by Austral. The next one is one by another nom de plume, Australie, a nom de plume of Mrs. Hubert Heron, a daughter of Sir W.M. Manning, a judge in the Supreme Court of New South Wales, a chancellor at the University of Sydney. Australie is one of her Christian names, authoress of a volume of poems, The Balance of Pain, published by George Ballan's son in London in 1877. The Quiet Dust by Australie. The quiet dust lay on the tranquil breast of Mother Earth, all peacefully at rest. The gentle breezes kissed it and the dew, a veil of moisture o'er its slumbers threw. The rain and wind swept o'er its sleeping face, yet scarcely stirred it from its resting place. For grassy fibres in had bound it fast, and round each grain embracing roots had cast. The soil, unconscious, nourishing green blades, fulfilled its silent work through long decades. And so the quiet dust was blessed. In quietness it lay at rest. The master took the dust within his hand. In human shape he formed the grains of sand. In his own image wrought the humble clay. With breath divine he warmed it for life's day. The dust awoke. It lived, it spoke, it moved. It learnt ambition, struggled, strove and loved. Created pure by sin, becoming marred. Discordant passions in its membered ward. Yearning to soar, held down, would restless pine. And so the quickened dust, distressed, in fevered living, knew no rest. The father looked with pity on the strife. He noted all the care and pain of life, and sending death with tender healing powers, cut short the span of the long trial hours. He bade the soul untrammelled soar on high, and quit its prison frame with weary sigh. He drew the breath from out the tired clay, and on its mother's breast again it lay. And life returned to life with ransom paid, and earth to earth in peacefulness was laid. And so the quiet dust was blessed. It in quietness once more at rest. Wow, that's a beautiful poem, definitely. Australie, The Quiet Dust. It's actually Australis, which is another one, a nom Australis, a nom de plume of someone called Patrick Maloney, a well-known Melbourne doctor. His sonnets add Inoptum were published in intervals in the Australasian under the signature of Australis. Oh gosh, he's got quite a lot of sonnets here. Well, we'll go on anyway. We'll just do one sonnet. I make not my division of the hours by dials, clocks, or waking birds' acclaim, nor measure seasons by the raining flowers, the spring's green glories or the autumn's flame. To me thy absence winter is and night, thy presence spring and the meridian day. From thee I draw my darkness and my light, now swart eclipse, now more than heavenly ray. Thy coming warmeth all my soul like fire, and through my heartstrings melodies do run, as poets fabled thee, Mnemonian lyre, hymned acclamation to the rising sun. My heart hums music in thy influence set, so winds my harp's aeolian on the fret. Australis, yes. The next one I've got here is Alexander W. Bathgate, a solicitor at Dunedin, New England. Not published, but contributed many poems to New Zealand journals. Maungatua, the name of a range of mountains overlooking the Taieri Plain near Dunedin, Otago, New Zealand, means the range, Maunga, of the spirit, Atua. The sound of G's soft in Maori. Maungatua by Alexander W. Bathgate. The spirit's mountain, such the name the early Maori gave, where his forgotten grave, we know not, but thou'rt still the same gloomy and dread Maungatua. Thou art the spirit's mountain still, thou dost not frown, but on the plain look'st down, which now the white-browed ploughman till, with changeful face Maungatua. Thou hast for us lost half thy gloom, for we can see thee smile and pleasant look a while, when the summer's sun makes flowerets bloom and lights thy brow, Maungatua. And when the winter's southern wind, with many a keen-toothed blast, has snow upon thee cast, thy hoary head proudly o'er thy kind, thou holdest high, Maungatua. Thine aspect ever seems to change, and when on breezy day the clouds shades o'er thee play, and fly along thy lofty range, yet thou'rt the same, Maungatua. The spirit that lies in nature lives, and speaks to hear him who hears. The spirit that in nature lives, and speaks to him who hears, arrayed in strength appears, and to thy massive mountain gives thy spirit name, Maungatua. This one is Beth, is the name of the poet. A nom de plume of Mrs. Casewell of Nelson, New Zealand, who died in Hobart, Tasmania in 20 years ago, so 1868. Beautiful stars. Beautiful stars through the hours that keep your watch in the welkin blue and deep, when earth lies hushed neath the sceptre of sleep, when the young and fresh-hearted smile in dreams, when the pillow with fancy's pictures teems, and only the wretched lie watching your beams. Handmaids of even, so cold and still, ye seem heaven's chambers with silence to fill, and clothe with and beauty temple and hill. And are ye teardrops the angels wept o'er the sin that was done, fair arbours of Eden within, when death and sorrow their trophies did win? Beautiful stars, O my spirit would fain know the regions beyond your fair domain. Is it there the ransomed triumphant reign? Tell us, O tell us, your paths have they crossed? The fair and gentle, the loved and the last, that our bosoms have cherished and guarded the most? Did they touch your bright rims with their sky-beating feet? Did ye list to the seraphs come forth to greet, with the music of paradise holy and sweet? Vainly we ask thee, oh, vainly we pray, to the ear of frail mortals no word will ye say, but in coldness and stillness look earthward for aid. Yeah, that's beautiful. The Beautiful Stars by Beth, also known as Mrs. Casewell. Okay, here we've got another one here from Thomas Bracken. Born in Ireland in 1843, went to Victoria in 1855. There we go. Old Bendigo. Let Polly go with Redmond, mind be careful of the steer. Bring Bob and Rambler from the creek, they'll find good picking here. Just fling this she-oak on the fire there, catch that end not through. This minds me of a maiden trip to dear old Bendigo. Old Bendigo, the very name is treasured in my breast. Just pass the billy this way, Jack, not bored yet, well I'm blessed. If that there wood will ever burn, this iron bark is slow. You know the gully of that name on dear old Bendigo. Oh, when we camped upon the track, the damp must be done. Around the blazing log at night, what tough old yarns were spun. By Sydney Ned and Derwin Bill and Murrumbidgee Joe. Where are they now? Ah, mate, they'll drive no more to Bendigo. I can't help laughing when I think old mate just passed a chew of that here time when Murphy's team got bogged at Carrolhoo. Big Barney Fagan shouted whilst the wheels were bedding low, "Fay, boys, there's some deep sinking on the road to Bendigo." Mount Macedon is gazing down as proudly as of old, and Alexander's lofty brow looks over fields of gold. They never shift, but where are all the friends we used to know on Castlemaine and Forest Creek and dear old Bendigo? No other land has mustered such a kingly race of men as that brave Golden Legion on the march to fortune then. The digger's shirt was freedom's badge, beneath it honour's glow lit up a generous manly flame on dear old Bendigo. Old mate of mine, together we have rafted through the bush for 20 years, and time begins to lay his fasting push upon our heads, but in our hearts the flowers of friendship grow as fresh as when we planted them on dear old Bendigo. I sigh whene'er I think upon Jack pass along the crub, the music of the puddling mill, the cradle and the tub, the hurdy-gurdy's German bands and minstrels to our blowers. You've upset the tea on dear old Bendigo. The track of life is sometimes smooth, at other times is rough, but we must take it as it comes, this beef is rather tough. I feel a spider on my cheek, I've caught the varmint, oh no! Why, bless me if it ain't a tear for dear old Bendigo. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely. What else have I got for you tonight? We go over the page and we've got for you John Bright, The Land of Dreams, a song, a South Australian comrade of Adam Lindsay Gordon's, an overlander, constantly on the road. When last heard of was on the street shores of Carpentaria. He's published a little paper volume of poems, wattle blooms and wildflowers gathered by the way, Crabron, Bretherton, St Kilda, Melbourne. This poem is called The Land of Dreams, a song, and it reached the editor in a very mutilated condition, and some parts printed in italics are the editor's own parts. So there's that's interesting. The Land of Dreams, a song by John Wright and the editor. A pleasant land in the land of dreams at the back of the shining air. It hath sunnier skies and sheenier streams and gardens than earth's more fair. And oft on my heart feels weary and sad, for rest I wander away to the realms where it all is happy and glad, neath the light of an endless day. There I see the faces I knew of old, the friends that were true and kind, and we met as we met ere our hearts grew cold with the care that is left behind. For there is no sorrow, doubt or care, but hope like a sunrise gleams, and shadows come not between us there, in my wonderful land of dreams. You may ask the road, but I cannot tell, though oft in its track I stray, and my spirit knoweth the path right well, and oft doth it long to stay. But it lies in the womb of the cloud somewhere, and in sorrow aye near seems. When my soul would rest from trouble and care, it flies to this land of dreams. Jennings Carmichael from St Kilda, Victoria. A Wreath from Adam's Garden. Around lie the limitless acres of forests Australian. Infinite solitude scarcely disturbed by a sound. Only the keen, tireless tinklings of bellbirds, leaf hidden, break as a monotone chord on a silence profound. Stately and tall, with but rarely a varying foliage, range the bush monarchs with branches just rocked by the wind. Low at their feet cluster saplings and giant leaf tree ferns, anchored in mosses with creepers carelessly twined. Rarely the sad sombre leafage is brightened with colour, saved by the white-starred clematis and glory pea vine, or against the branch-trellised verge of the long-stretching forest, dagger-leaved lightwoods and gold-tufted wattle trees shine. Strewn mid the tawny bush grasses where dead leaves lie scattered, myriads of daisies and fawn-tinted violets blow. Green-hearted orchids upspring from the maiden-ferned slopings, and through the verdure the twin creeks in harmony flow. Seen through a clearing of bush soft with velvety verdure, the plain's fertile acreage lies neath the westering sun. Down to the flat rolls the marsh merging fringe of the forest, and red cattle graze on the grass of the wide station run. Vaulted in passionless purity glistens the heaven, never the breath of a cloud on its measureless blue. Deeper the purple tints glow on the wild, close-wooded mountains, Finer the shadow and shine blend in dreamiest hue. These are the days when the soul with its yearning disquiet can for a moment be eased of the burdening pain. Oh, thus to roam in the changeless quintessence of forest gives for season relief from heart, sorrow and strain. Jenny Carmichael, a Wreath from Adam's Garden. All right, well, that's it for poems of very, very old. Now, I did say I would read a Bob Magor poem to you, didn't I? This one is from his book Blasted Crows and Other Verses, published in 1990 first. This is the 9th print. And today, as I said earlier, Bob Magor donated a whole set of his poetry books to the Australian Poetry Library and Archive. Now, if you're a poet and you've got poetry books that you've published and you'd like to donate them to the Australian Poetry Library and Archive, that would be really appreciated. But if you're a poet and you do have books and you can't afford to donate them, then I'm happy to buy one off you. So send me a message in the comments or to oneenglish1@gmail.com. They're both ones and numerals at the end of English, one English one. Now, Bob, not only that, you don't have to send your own books. If you've got a collection of poetry that you no longer read and you'd like to make sure that it goes to a fantastic poetry library and archive that I'm building here with over 2,500 poetry books in it, well, you can send them here to 144 Bradley Street, Gyra. That's right. That's the address, and you just box them up and post them here, or you can drop them off yourself. We're always happy to take people's poetry books because we love poetry. All right, the next one. So, Blasted Crows by Bob Magor. "Oh, give your ark, you bastards," yelled the boss, and raised his fist at the chorus in the gum trees where we'd shot for days and missed. For the crows had all descended from the country miles around and attacked the grove of almonds till the shells concealed the ground. Then, to balance out their diet and wash down the almond dregs, they had to terrorise the chook house, then gathered all the eggs. So we stalked for days with shotguns, lead and entrees we'd arranged, but their sentries always spied us, and they'd fly just out of range. So we made a netting crow trap and we baited it inside with a gourmet meal of mutton from a sheep that long since died. But its presence never rated with our almond-eating foe, though the pong was quite horrific. All we caught was one young crow. Now, this crow caused quite a circus as it arced the captive cry, and its mates all swarmed in protest till their pinions blanked the sky when the boss with ghoulish tactics called for heavy armoury. "Bring the dynamite and fuses, I've a plan for victory." So he caught the dusky jailbird and with bawling twine and pegs found a stick of high explosives in the space between its legs. Then he lit the feathered missile, threw it high so it could fly to rejoin the thieving felons for a Guy Fawkes in the sky. But the boss's eyes gleamed carnage and he gave a fiendish laugh as he watched the bomb wing skyward tied securely forward and aft. But as if the god of fair play, to give the boss's plan reproof, made the Kanamakazi Corvine land upon the dunny roof. And it shunned its new-found freedom while it checked between its thighs, viewing its hissing undercarriage with unblinking beady eyes. The explosion echoed loudly as the tremor shook the ground, as the dunny roof and feathers hovered airborne all around. Even though our ears were ringing, we still heard the muffled shout as the dunny door crashed outwards and an occupant burst out. It was Curly, Boss's brother, with his pants around his feet, who was sitting quietly reading, with his chore almost complete. Just imagine his discomfort, not to mention his surprise, when the dunny roof exploded, crow torpedoed from the skies. He changed that long drop into short drop in the open air abode. Just when Curly thought he'd finished, terror scared another load. He passed us by, white and shaking, hopped like a kangaroo, with his panicked feet both hobbled in his overalls lasso. Then the dog and Chooks and Curly all stampeded, hopped and flew to the scrub and into hiding to escape the lethal two. And the crows up to their grandstand arched applause at all the fun. Then they settled down to feasting as the almond war was won. Cool. Thank you very much, Bob Magor, for sending us your books. That was a very cool, funny poem. I like it. The Almond War, or The Blasted Crows. Now, I got some of my own for you tonight. Here we go. My own poetry. Let's begin. One that I haven't finished, but I will. It's about a man who went to Sydney. Dingo Dave. It was Dingo Dave from out of Barcoo who sought the city life of Woolloomooloo. So he packed a bag, rolled his swag, then flew to Sydney and got jet lag. The building heights made Dave dizzy, crossing roads that were so busy. Made Dave tired, so he found a hotel, walked in the door and rang on the bell. The reception clerk quickly appeared, looked at Dave with a grin and a sneer. I'm after a room to rest me head. We've just the thing, the receptionist said. The concierge came and picked up his swags. Oi, said Dave, you can leave them bags. He gave Dave a card, said, here's your key. Dave's jaw hit the ground and he said, crikey, I ain't never seen a key that's a card. Just tap on the black square hard. Dave awoke the next day at the usual hour, went to the bathroom to take a shower. The taps and nozzles made him unsure. His shower took an hour or more. And then it's to be continued. I think he'll get a tattoo. Here's one called Outrage. Outraged at the outrageous. Outraged at a joke. Outraged at the courageous. I'm outraged at the woke. I'm outraged at the rich and I'm outraged at the poor. Outraged at some biatch and outraged I'm going to blame some more. One sultana does not make a fruitcake, as hearsay does not a fact make. One letter, word or sentence is not a book. One feather, not a bird, and straight is not a hook. The opinions of others ought not matter as a world community, either global or flatter. An empty toilet roll has no sheets. It's 1 foot, 2 feet, but never 3 feet. Got that? Never 3 feet. That's right. Now, we've got one more to finish off with. Now, at the market, every Saturday here in Guyra at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, we have a little indoor marketing. This year, a young man called Riley, last week, was very entrepreneurial. He's been very entrepreneurial, growing all these different kinds of edible mushrooms. And he brought in some of these wonderful lion's mane mushrooms to sell, which I bought and I'm going to eat very, very soon. In order to help him sell them, I wrote the following poem about lion's mane mushroom fresh, amazing healing food stuff, it's called. Looks like a brain, doesn't it? Lion's mane is great for your brain. Dementia, Alzheimer's, save you going insane. The lion's mane is a fungal crown, focus lost and memory down. Sharpen thoughts your mind anew, nerve growth blooms, mind sharp too. Lion's mane will give you might, boost your focus, make you bright. Inflammation gone, cancer's end. It's the immune system's friend. That's true. Marvellous mushroom, strong and true. Lion's mane, amazing for you. Nature's gift for mind and core. Embrace the healing and much more. Seek the wisdom from within. Lion's mane will make you win. Come explore this fungi friend. Health and focus till the end. These are grown locally by Riley. Come and get it and you'll be smiling. Yeah, it's true. All right, I'm Thundercloud. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on Chillin Tuesday on the 26th of March, the 4-year anniversary of the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, and 2 days. Yes, don't forget, Gwen Ashton here on the 27th, that's tomorrow night. Tickets are $20. Fiore Musicale with Treasures of the Baroque, the 6th of April, and Songs from the Porch of Life featuring, that's right, Geoff, Paull and Pam Hata. I'm Thundercloud and I will see you next Tuesday. Boom!